23.
Hey, everybody. I'm Mike.
I'm Bob.
I'm Tim.
I'm Jeff.
Yes.
And this is the Board Game Rundown. Welcome to Whiskey Wednesday. This is December 18th edition. And why am I getting an echo? There we go.
I don't know.
It's gone.
Good job. It was that professional.
We are joined by Jeff
Whoa,
Ignatowski, designer, author, podcaster. What don't you do would be a smaller list. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, thank you guys. I have been waiting 3 years for this opportunity to get on this show. I'm just saying. I have been waiting very patiently for a very long time to hang out with y'all. So I was excited to get the call yesterday.
Well, we talked about it like a month ago, and we never nailed down a date. And then it's like, I've been needing to follow up with you. My brain is like torn between Christmas and college football right now. So like, it's very hard for me to focus this week. So I was the point man on that. I probably get, and this isn't a dig, but I probably bring in 85% of the guests that we have, most of the time, because I'm just grabbing people and like, hey, come on, let's do this. So it's not like I even give the guys I am. And I don't give the guys a chance to bring in other people, but they have. So that's on me. I appreciate you lurking in the shadows, waiting for your time to strike.
That's what I do. I'm good at that.
But you've been on our, my radar for ages. I mean, I've been seeing you at shows, we chat, you've got, I love not now I say I love, but I should, when I'm talking to you, just say I casually enjoy true crime and serial killers because you love that content.
I will tell you that I am fascinated and engaged by the content. I think love is a strong word.
Fair, because I get it.
Like, one of the big things, of course, in the industry that I'm in, obviously, I mean, it's all behind me. This is my podcast setup, but, is always running this risk of, glorification and things like that. And that is one thing I've tried to stay away from, even though I'm the one that created Killers, the card game. But the idea behind that was never to glorify anything. It's to allow people to get into the mindset, to be able to understand that a little bit better, and to see how many of these crazy people are all around us all the time. I was just talking to a buddy of mine this week, and we were talking about, that the FBI says that there is the potential for at least 50 serial killers at any time throughout the United States. That's a lot of people. And we don't talk about that anymore because we think that that's not a big thing because there's all kinds of other crazy stuff going on. But that's not true. They are out there. They're lurking, and you should be aware. It's why all the shows are popular. It's why true crime is such a thing. And I am glad that I was able to get in and to be able to show a different avenue of that with something else that I love. And I love gaming. So I really made my entrance into the community through gaming. But now I've done all this other stuff, and it just continues to happen. It's been crazy, from starting to do the speaking engagements and talking about serial killer psychology to then writing the book. And then it just blew up. And I was like, okay, well, how do we promote the book? I guess I should probably have a podcast because everybody else has got a podcast. Yeah. So I should probably do that. So now I have that. Now I'm writing a second book. And I got asked to be one of the authors in a true crime anthology. So I just finished that. And so it's just been one thing after another, working on all these things. I've got some irons in the fire about the possibility of doing some TV stuff. And I've been really interested in because, oh my God, what I don't even know how to say this. I cross so many different lines. Like I'm really like interested in the paranormal and in cryptids and stuff like that. So like I have been always fascinated with this idea of true crime paranormal and what could be discovered from like really looking at that. So at some point I want to like do some things in that direction and see what we can come up with, even though, you know, anytime you walk into that kind of world, none of it is verifiable, right? We can't prove any of that unless like some entity would come and tell you like, hey, there's a body buried here, it's so-and-so, and you dig them up and find out that the DNA is actually that person. I mean, there's no other way to like really actually verify any of that. So, you know,
yeah, it's like, what are they, is that called theoretical science? You know, something along those lines, right? Yeah, you're
but it's fascinating because we look at, you know, where we go now and what's happened now with science and stuff. And it really, like, if you go back and look at like the Victorian ages, right? A lot of the things that they believed then are now being proved by our science now. And it's fascinating to see that happen. And, you know, who knows what we're going to find in the future, what's going to change about what we believe about the human body, about how, you know, we stay healthy and things. It's amazing. I'm excited to be in the middle of all of that.
Well, and I will tell you that this is all a product of your hard work. Cause I don't know, I thought I was a hustler, you know, and like, and when I'm out at like the shows and like hustling and working like I do, but I mean, you're like that times 100. You're at shows, like anytime there's a show, you're there. I feel like, you know, I mean, so you're doing something right, you know, all that hard work, you know, but
the last 2 years I have done, last year I did 38 shows. This year I am at, I think 34 or 35. Next year I already have, I think 27 on the books. And then there will be a few more that I put in here and there to kind of fill in the space. I like when people come to me and they're like, holy shit, Jeff, you're like everywhere. I really am. And like, I'm a one-man show. So like I get around to all these places, but the thing is, you know, I knew that when I put out Killers, right, it was not going to be something that a publisher was going to be like, hey, we want to sell that in Walmart. Like I knew that was never going to happen. Right. I knew that if I was going to do that and that was going to be the focus. And even though it is now one of 6 games that I've designed and put out there, it is still the most popular. And I knew I was going to have to hustle to make it happen. But it's been great because I've gotten out there and it has enabled me to meet so many people and to really get in there and them to get to know me. And I think I've proved to a lot of people that I'm not just some like creepy guy sitting in the basement. You know,
and that's
doing weird shit.
That's the key, right? Is like, I mean, even for us, you know, and trying to grow and expand, you know, our exposure in the hobby is just meeting people and getting to know people, you know, and it's like my favorite thing. I love playing board games, but I love the people that I get to meet because I play board games, you know.
Absolutely.
It's an awesome thing. And then you've got that times, you know, exponentially by everything else that you do between the writing, you know, the horror conventions, the just comic book conventions, board game conventions, you know, like wherever you're at. I mean, you're everywhere, you know, so.
Yeah. And it spans so many different things. And like for me, one of the things that's been really big, like I do a bunch of stuff in the oddities community, right? They're actually one of my biggest markets because to be perfectly honest, the gaming community has not always been very friendly towards me. And they have looked at me like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? And so, I honestly, I understand, you know, I was shocked that this last year I was at Origins, right? And it was the first time at Origins that I had my own booth. I was there. I was promoting all of my stuff. I did a really good job of like mixing it up because I have a new game that's getting ready to come out in 2025. That's a sideshow deck builder. And so I was really excited to put that out. So some of the signage that I had was for that this year, which kind of softened the blow a little bit. But I still had people come up and kind of give me the weird eyes, like, oh, what is this? That's Jeffrey Dahmer on the table. And, they'd walk off. However, with that being said, for a little game, and I only had 2 there. I had Killers and I had the Profiler that were there at the table. I still did over $5,000 during that time, which was unbelievable to me. Like, I thought, like, when I went there, I really thought, like, I was like, all right, what's my, like, top of the line number? What is like out of the world for me? And I was like, okay, if I do $5,000, this is incredible. Like, this is the best time ever. And on about halfway through day 2, I was at $3,000, and I was like I could conceivably hit this.
This might happen. Yeah.
Like, this is legit. I had no idea I'd even get that far. And I was like, I'm probably going to get there. I might do 2, we'll see what happens. That'd be a really good weekend. And then I hit that, and I was just like, all right. And this is in like the gaming industry. So I was like, dude, this is really, really cool.
Well, I think it's the crazy thing about the gaming industry, right? And the hobby is it's almost like, it's like role-playing games too, right? There's themes for everything. I've got all these board games behind me and to the sides of me and on the other side of the camera. And there's just about every theme you can imagine. Obviously there's definitely some overlap and everything, but it's crazy. And as a hobby that sometimes purports to, be a big tent and want everybody in, yet can still be very exclusive, like they say one thing and then they do another sometimes. I do feel like that you keep at it and the good guys win out. You know what I mean? I think that, the people, you find your audience, and you just have to keep at it and stuff. So that's awesome to hear though, man.
Here, I'll release a couple new things here. There's a couple new things that are going on. One of them, I didn't even mention this before, but Matt Holden, who runs the Indie Game Alliance and is a good friend of mine, has been on my ass for the last several years about, hey, Jeff, you really need to go out there and start publishing stuff. Like, publish other people's stuff too, not just your own. And so there is the very, very strong possibility that in 2025, I am going to make a little bit of a move towards that as well.
Nice.
I've got my own stuff coming out. And here's the pitch, right? I want to publish stuff within reason, that nobody else will publish, right?
Oh, sure.
I want to be like the redheaded stepchild of the gaming community. And if you have a concept and an idea that you have that you feel like is Asmodee won't sit down and ever talk to you, come and pitch it to me. We'll talk about it. We'll look and see what that looks like. And then we'll start working in that direction. Because I think there are a lot of great ideas out there. There are a lot of ideas that don't fit into the norms. And I think that those ideas need to see the light of day. And I think that people
and not
need
all
to
of
have
those,
that freedom.
And not all those people have the means to self-publish either, right?
Yeah.
Or the know-how,
Yeah.
So that's fantastic.
So I've really been considering that. Matt has been kind of putting me in position for that. And so I think that's really going to come to fruition. I've really considered even putting something on the website where people can start submitting things. I think that'll probably come in the next few months. But the other big news is I am, as of like a week ago, I am now the B2B facilitator for a new company called Meeplejack. And so stepping in to the gaming industry and really looking at making an impact there and solving some issues in the gaming industry that we all struggle with as publishers and distributors, because one of the big things is that publishers are always trying to figure out how the hell do we talk to distributors so we can get our games out there into a larger market. And distributors are always trying to figure out, where's the next game? Like, what's the next new stuff? Because I constantly need new things. So the goal of Meeplejack is there's already a platform created. It is going to be released as early as like Gamma. We're going to be doing a bunch of things. There's a big push for Gamma right now, but we're going to get publishers and distributors to get on this platform. It's completely free for both of them. It is literally a place where they can connect. They can put all their new offerings up there. Distributors can then talk directly to the publishers to be able to get things. Publishers can then pitch to the distributors, and it becomes a seamless way for them to connect without having to wait to go to Gen Con or go to Gamma or hit Origins, where they may or may not ever get a meeting with these people. And a lot of times they only get 5 minutes to pitch your game. You'll have an opportunity to be able to do that. And so it's a really unique way to get that done. We'll then move on to like manufacturers, and then bringing on artists and game designers and writers, and all of that stuff is to come in the future. But we're going to start out there with publishers and distributors, and just solving that problem of how do we connect one another so that we can get the best possible products, the best ideas, the newest stuff out to the whole public. And I think it's going to be incredible. I think that there's going to be a great response when we get to Gamma. I will be there, ready to roll. We'll be out there talking to everybody. And so if those of you that are out there listening publish stuff, hit me up, let me know, and I will get you connected.
Right on.
Because we're sailing forward with some great ideas.
Sweet.
That's awesome. More avenues, the better. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like,
Opens up
this
more
has been
involved, bigger tent.
Yeah, man. Yeah, a bigger tent. Get rid of the gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Smash down
Absolutely.
the gates.
Yeah.
And give everybody a chance. If your game is good and you are persistent, it will get eyes. Now, it's not to say that every great game is, there's hidden gems for a reason, because people, you miss out on stuff and you can't play or see everything, but more opportunities for exposure.
I'll tell you guys a quick story, because this is funny. So my first year being at Gen Con, like actually being there the whole weekend, I was there with the Indie Game Alliance. I was doing a bunch of stuff with them, because I always do. And so we did our publishers. Yeah, we did our publisher speed dating, right? And so I was there, and I ended up bringing Killers out, and I pitched to several publishers. And again, I know that it is not a game that a publisher is going to be like, oh yeah, we're going to sell all that. However, I got to pitch to Asmodee, and the gentleman that sat down to take my pitch, he was very, very nice. He listened to everything I had to say. And when I was done, he looked at me, he smiled, and he said, I really, it's a good game. I like the mechanics. He was like, but I just can't wrap my head around the rest of it. And I looked at him, I smiled, I said, I understand. Honestly, I did not come here to pitch because I wanted anybody to pick this up, because I can do it myself. But I just wanted to get reactions. I was interested to see what the community would say. And so I was like, dude, this is super cool that I got to see Asmodee freak out.
Ooh, do we have a 10?
we had a
we got.
I was wondering.
Yeah.
Wow,
Like,
I saw it not move for a second. I'm like,
I know.
what is it?
I kept looking at him. I'm like,
Yes,
is he doing that on purpose?
We
He
get
has
those
internet hamster
weird
problems.
Tim glitches every once in a while.
He's been pretty good for a while, but yeah, it happens.
So I'm
It
going
does.
to I'm the segue guy, so I'm just going
There
to
you go.
call it. And I'm I'm segueing. So first of all, we never did.
My kind of
We
segue.
got to say hi to people in our chat. We have a ton of
Say
great
hello to our
regulars.
irregulars.
We got a bunch of great regulars in here. Of course, Andrew Stiles, he's a fellow game designer. Trevor is in here. He's a regular in our Discord and the chat. Nix has ran some D&D with us here on the channel.
Nix.
We got another indie game designer here, Mr. Evan Halbert. Jazz, of course, is with us, and Steph from the other side of the world popping in to say hi, which
Steph,
we always appreciate.
you're probably watching this
Nice.
in the replay by now, but hopefully your morning got better for you.
And fellow dark game designer, Mr. James Cole, is also in the house. I knew we'd see him. I knew we'd see him. This is right up his wheelhouse. In fact, the first time he came on, we did dark games, not dark themed games. So it creates a totally different type of list. At least for me, it did. Also a metalhead, so you can imagine the kind of dark ties that we get from that. You mentioned your first book, and I haven't pulled up any links that you sent me, so I've got to do that. So I just want to make sure people know the type of stuff that you write about, in case it wasn't clear yet. But beyond the headlines, true crimes, myths, and legends, I can imagine the amount of research that went into something like this.
Oh, dude, it is, really honestly, doing all of the research for Killers the card game, because all of the killers have like bios on the back, really prepared me really well for writing the book. There was a lot of stuff that was already in my brain. And so when I decided who was going to go into the book, the first one, because this is a whole series, it says volume 1 serial killers. My whole intent with the book series is to show people that true crime is not just the 12 serial killers that we all talk about, right? That there is so much more, that it really gets down to, like, if I go to the grocery store and I decide to or better yet, since we're all gamers here, if I go to the game store and I pick up some dice and put them in my pocket because I'm a dice goblin and walk out of the store with them, that is a true, because it happened in reality, and it's a crime because you just broke the law because you shouldn't take things without paying for them. So true crime encompasses a lot of things. Volume 2 will be on criminals. I'm currently writing that. Volume 3 is cults and religions. Volume 4 is going to be assassinations, and Volume 5 is on conspiracy theories, because I'm fascinated by them.
Interesting. Jinx.
Oh, so basically the idea of the book is I cover a brief little history about each killer that I talk about. I then go into 3 myths about them, that have grown up around them, and then I do 1 legend. And when I do that, I'm very ambiguous because I believe people need to figure it out for themselves, rather than me tell them my opinion and what I think is great. He did go change his shirt. That's fantastic.
Take advantage of an opportunity, man. I was buffering so hard. I was like, well,
here we go.
I'm still rocking the Notre Dame hat. I can't.
You should have came back in the same position you were frozen, so then I would have been like, oh, look, he's back. He's in the same spot. He's frozen again. No, it's not.
All right. So I want to, of course, highlight that you do have a podcast. You'll notice I am subscribed because that's the way this works. You send me a link to your channel, I subscribe, and I suggest everybody else to do the same. It is in the description to the video. I'll drop it in the chat just in case. But this kind of stuff definitely does fascinate me. I'm one of those people that sometimes when I'm bored, I'll just watch a weird documentary. And so weird shit has always fascinated me. So it's kind of right at home. Now, my question: of the people that you have written about, which one would most terrify you to meet in person?
That's interesting. I've not been asked that before.
Ooh, good job, Mike.
I think probably, and consequently, became my favorite to write about is probably Gacy. Mainly because I'm a middle-aged man, and 20 years ago, he would have probably done very nasty things to me. So I think that probably concerns me more than any other. But like going into writing, my favorite was always H.H. Holmes. I've always been fascinated by the Holmes story.
Yeah.
I love the old grifter kind of thing. And so I did a lot of research into Holmes, and I was very surprised that when I started writing the book, that Holmes was not my favorite to write about. It ended up being Gacy, which was, I was like, wow. But part of that is because I know a lot of people that are also involved in the Gacy case now. And so I'm good friends with them. So I think that helped out a bunch.
Well, you're getting a lot of insight. It's not like you're going to run into anybody that worked on the H.H. Holmes trial from Chicago, which, not to promote someone else's book, but Devil in the White City is just an amazing Eric Larson book, and does a really cool job. Oh, go on.
I got to tell you, Larson could have kept out all the White City shit and just talked about the devil, and I would have been fine. I was down in Mississippi for a book festival, right? And Larson was there. And I tried, like his line was so long, and I was only at my booth by myself. And again, here's another circumstance where, like, I didn't really know what Larson looked like.
Oh, sure.
I couldn't. That fucker, he walked right past my booth. Like, I looked later on, and I was like, damn it, I knew he was going to walk past. I should have just grabbed him. Golly.
Well, see, now, me growing up so close to Chicago, and spending, a lot of time in Chicago, going to, just different things and seeing the city. It just struck a chord with me. So I was really fascinated with the whole thing, with the World's Fair and and having been to the Field Museum a million times, like all that stuff. Right. So to me, it was really cool. And for somebody, I wish that book came out when I was in high school, because I would have drove my teacher nuts, because I would have just done like a report, like a whole senior paper on that. Because what I did do a paper on was A Clockwork Orange, and she hated it and hated me for doing it. But man, Devil in the White City would have been even better, because that's like pretty academically sound. You know what I mean? So like, it'd be like, like I dare you to give me a bad grade on this.
When I was in 8th grade, we did a final report, right? And this will tell you how macabre I was going back to a very early age. We were supposed to write a 6-page report on something, and I did like a 27-page report on forensic pathology.
Nice.
And like I went to my brother's college and like went and viewed an autopsy while I was there. It was like I did some extensive research, and people were like, what in the hell is wrong? I'm like, listen, if you're going to have me write, obviously I can't shut up. So like, I'm not going to write like 3 pages. It's just not me. So
that's awesome, man.
So I want to know about Step Right Up, because, well, one, I like this name. Just Step Right Up, folks. And this art is just grabbing me, and plus the fact that it's a deck builder and it's what your next design. I'd love to know what this is all about.
So the idea for Step Right Up actually happened before Killers. And it was the original game that I wanted to put out. And I honestly did not have the background to understand how to do it. And so for the last 4 years, I've been trying to figure out, how do I want to create a game around the sideshow? Like I mentioned, I've always been really into H.H. Holmes and that whole time period. And so growing up, I was always into the sideshow and all of the circus freaks and everything. And I thought, man, I would love to make a game around that to really kind of honor that time in history that I missed out on. Because by the time I'm 40, I'll be 45 this year. But I was born in 1980, and all the sideshows were long gone by the time I was growing up. And so it was one of the things that I really, really missed. So like, if you guys could see directly across from me, half of my room is like the back port of this is all, true crime stuff. But onto the left of me is all sideshow stuff. The back wall behind me is a bunch more sideshow stuff. Like I have like the original 1865 Harper's Bazaar that has the burning of P.T. Barnum's American Museum in it, the original etchings.
Oh, wow.
And so like I'm deep into it. So when I decided that I was going to do Step Right Up, I was like, okay, I've got to have the original people in there. Just like Killers, I wanted to do like Johnny Eck and, the Pinheads and Tom Thumb and all of that. And the great thing is they're well over 80 years ago now. So now they're all open source. So I can jump in there and I can use some of that. So I can do that, which is great. And so the idea, the concept for the game is you're going to build your sideshow, right? You're going to take on creating a sideshow. You have to hire, you have to keep paying your sideshow performers. You have to make as much money as you can to win the game. The other players will be trying to steal your sideshow performers by maybe paying them more money or using cards to take them away from you. They will also be able to burn down your dime museum because you'll also be able to build a dime museum and have certain artifacts in there. You might have a two-headed calf or some shrunken heads or a Fiji mermaid. And then there'll be a bunch of bonuses and things like that you can pump up your characters and have them get more, we're calling it more draw, where more people are excited to come and see the show. And so you will work on building your 10-1. So you'll have at least 10 performers or at most 10 performers. And that will be a mix of working acts, which are just regular people, maybe a blockhead, maybe some fire eaters. You may have some created freaks, which are like the tattooed man or like the bearded lady are all created freaks. And then you have your real freaks, which are, like Johnny Eck, the half man, or one of the great things about the game, and you can see it on the front there. I happened to get really, really lucky. I was at a show and in Owensboro, and they brought in Hell's a Poppin'. Hell's a Poppin' is the only current American sideshow that travels around the country, right? They're the only one left. They do a 10-1 sideshow. They have one of the guys that does the crossbow work from America's Got Talent. Like incredible show. I got to meet them and I got to hang out with them and I got to pitch them the idea for Step Right Up. So several of their acts are in the game and they are going to be promoting it at their shows.
Nice.
We're going to work together in doing a bunch of this. So it's been really, really cool to partner with them. There has actually been some talk. So any of you Gamma people that run Origins or listening out there, there has been some talk. I was at a show up in Columbus and one of the guys from Gamma was there and, they're looking at, the different performances that they'll have at Origins this year. And so there is talk about bringing in a sideshow for a full release of Step Right Up.
Nice.
And actually having a sideshow performance there. So if you guys are listening, I'm still interested. Hit me up.
That'd be cool. That'd be very cool. Because you could go, because even Gen Con and Origins have been doing this now where you go and like they've got, comedy shows, and things like that. Like, why not expand on that, right? And grow.
Absolutely.
I got two questions for you, and then I guess we can keep talking about your stuff. We can get into the topic, but I got to know because it's just kind of the way I am. Maybe three questions. Who's the most overrated serial killer? Like, who gets all the hype and you're like, they actually kind of suck. I mean, they all suck because they're monsters, but
I think we mentioned it earlier before we got on here, but maybe Bundy is probably the most overrated. He's one of the most famous, and we all kind of look at him and we have these ideas of who he was. And it seems to be, as I've done more research, that he was none of those things.
Sure.
He was not charismatic. He was not a womanizer. He was not very good at that at all. Matter of fact, he went around and like even his longtime girlfriends, he was busy cheating on them and doing all kinds of stuff. But, you know, not that you would expect a guy who was going around and murdering 30 plus women that he would be a great guy to begin with, right?
Fair.
So,
Fair. Now, okay, so I'm always curious because I'm like, you know, I give myself a hard time about it. I embrace that I'm a hipster because I'm a Gen Xer, you know, and stuff like that. So yeah, you know,
I've seen the hat.
I always want to know that kind of stuff, right? So shows like Carnival on HBO. Now, I personally love, but I have this, you know, 10 feet away, you know, from the scene. You know, you're right in the middle of it. How does a show like that hit you? Or I'm assuming you've seen it. I don't know how you have you seen Carnival?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've watched a few episodes, but I like never really watched it a ton. You know, I think the show that at least when it comes to like sideshow stuff like that, that is the closest that I can remember is that season of American Horror Story, right?
Yeah.
And I think they did a fair job. You know, obviously they had some pretty risque stuff there about the sideshow, which consequently will be in Step Right Up.
Nice.
Because I mean, let's face it. I mean, I create dark shit. And so one of my favorite cards in Step Right Up is is Angry Dad with a Shotgun.
Oh,
so
nice.
the idea is that your sideshow performer is banging somebody's daughter in town and the angry dad comes and blows him away. Right now, that is some real shit that happened when the sideshow came through town, because if you look historically, a lot of the people that were in the sideshow were all criminals, right? And they would go to town, all kinds of criminal shit would happen, and all kinds of heinous stuff happened too. You know, it was a great show, but they were grifters. And so all kinds of stuff happened during that time. And I've never been one to soften the blow very much. I want to keep it as honest as possible.
Yeah.
And so there will be that in the game, because I think it's important to be historically accurate if I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I can dig that. Have you, I'll ask you one other question about, like, for me, like I'm drawn more to the darker side of stuff. Like I did not watch The Greatest Showman. I'm sure it's fine.
I loved it.
No, awesome. But I liked Nightmare Alley. Did you watch Nightmare Alley with Bradley Cooper?
I did not. I haven't watched much of that. I got to tell you. Oh, no. I did. That movie is incredible.
Okay.
I did. I watched that.
You should watch that if
you
haven't. Yeah,
oh, yeah. I remember that one. It was one of those shows that, like, we watched it. And I was like, hey, I think this was just out in the movie theater not that long ago. Let's watch it. And I didn't know what it was really about. And then I watched it and I'm like, dude, this is so good. Yeah, it was like a great show.
It's made for your game. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
talk about criminal underbelly, you know, and the grift. And
so one of the things that I think is really cool, and another thing that I really wanted to exploit with Step Right Up, or maybe I shouldn't say exploit, I wanted to showcase, right, is the fact that P.T. Barnum, you know, sometimes he gets a bad rap for being the father of all of that stuff. But in actuality, P.T. Barnum took a group of people that would not have even been able to survive in that society, that would have been mocked and would have been put into, you know, hospitals and stuff like that. He took them and he gave them a living, and he allowed them to live very well, right? And most of those people that were working with P.T. Barnum loved him. And that is one of the good things that they do show in The Greatest Showman, that he had a relationship with his acts that was very positive. It wasn't negative. They didn't hate him. They didn't think he was a piece of shit, because, you know, we have this this culture that we live in now where we want to, you know, you can't say anything about this, you can't be offensive.
Oh, sure.
And that was completely on its head during the time that he lived. Like, you know, he did that stuff and he was showcasing those people. He was not exploiting them. One of the reasons why in Step Right Up, you have to hire your acts and you have to pay them throughout the game. So then you have to manage, like, am I spending too much money? are we going to go bankrupt because I'm spending too much money on these acts? How do I manage that and also build up so that we're making enough money and we're in the green instead of in the red? So there's a lot of management of that in the game. So anyway, there you go.
Oh, that's cool, man. I'm excited to see that. That sounds really good. That sounds really good.
Sweet. All right. We got a topic, yo.
Yeah, I know. Shocker, right?
Yeah.
We've got Jeff on, and we're going to do our top 5 games with dark themes. Bob went with just all boards that are black, right? I'm just kidding. Just dark, literally. But no, I did you guys have any criteria for your list other than maybe you found the theme was dark and disturbing, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like when I went with dark and disturbing, or yeah, basically.
I started with kind of the more obvious dark games, several of which I've talked about many times.
Mhm.
But then I just decided to get a little bit more creative and turn things that are not dark at their surface into dark when you start peeling away the layers of what the game is actually about.
Yeah.
So how many Disney games do you have on your list?
Man, you could do
Just
Bambi's
saying.
number 1, like, oh, it's so dark. Dumbo is number 2. Yeah, just yeah, secretly
So-
dark. Jeff,
Oh,
yeah.
I guess
for
it was my turn.
Yeah.
I missed my cue. Anyway, so when I went through, I was like, oh man, what are my, like, some of my favorite that I like to play? And then as I looked at it more and more, I was like, okay, maybe I need to pull out some of these games that like are not as well known, because there's a couple that I really, really love that are pretty dark, but they're more mainstream. Like everybody knows who they are and what they like, everybody's played them. And so I was like, let me dig a little bit deeper. And so I dug out some things. There's a couple of them that I've not even played. I know how they play. And one of them, I can honestly say, is the worst game that I've ever, the worst concept idea, like the darkest that I have ever seen. And
wow.
Even darker than Killers. And that's saying something. Just
you got a new goal. You got a new bar. You got
I know. I couldn't believe it when I was like, holy shit, I think they beat me.
nice.
Like legitimately.
None of mine are obviously dark, except for one. But they're not like dark because of the title or because of the obvious thing. It's the underlying sort of things that you're doing as a result of circumstances. So
Mhm.
should be interesting. We always have take fun approaches to lists like this, and I'm very curious to hear this game that is darker than a game about serial killers. I'm interest is peaked. So
I'm
all
glad
right. So as usual, we start with Bob. We'll circle back around, Tim, Jeff, and then I wrap it up. So Bob, are you ready to do this? All right, I'll hold on. Let me cue the official number.
He was already.
We start with Bob's number 5.
Okay. Now everybody take a deep breath and run. And as long as you can hold your breath, you can keep taking your turn, because in black mold, you cannot breathe.
Yes.
You're taking your turn and you're trying to do all these puzzles. And if you breathe these spores in, it's going to turn you into this like creepy, dark spore person. This was a fun game that we got to do was it preview for? I think it was.
Yeah.
But it was so unique with the mechanism of just holding your breath and, you're trying to solve these puzzles while your brain is oxygen starved. And it was so much fun. And I mean, yeah, okay, black is in the title, but also it was like, dark and gloomy and very metal. But yes.
Dude, so that was at Origins this last year. And I was like 3 booths away from the black mold guy. And I went and I hung out with him for a little while.
John's
and
a good dude.
Yeah.
I love the concept of that game. I own a copy of it.
Nice.
Matter of fact, I bought the expansion that they had there.
Nice.
It is incredible. I like it.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not very popular. Not a lot of people know about it. I think more people should because it's, like I said, it's very unique and it was a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, we've had John on the show. He's a really fun guest, a great content creator, and a metalhead. Which, if you can't tell by his art on this particular game, then you don't know what metal-inspired art is. It's one of the first things that drew me to this game. I'm a fellow metalhead myself. But then the actual concept, like Bob explained, there is no game like that where a turn quite literally lasts as long as you can hold your breath. And we played this in the studio with Wes Todd even, and that was a riot.
I love West.
Yeah, he's
great pick, Bob. I had this on my list, and I actually moved it to talk about other stuff, but I'm very glad this one made it. It's
nice.
There's nothing like this game.
Yeah.
So I have a question, guys. Do I go with like my jerk pick that's going to offend people, or do I just go with like a regular game?
Tim, I'm just gonna tell you, if you do jerk picks, you won't be alone, because that's the majority of my list.
Okay, because Jeff mentioned earlier, like sometimes people just got to take a board game as a board game. I'm just saying. A game is a game, a movie's a movie. It's you what you do with that when you're done and you walk away from the table or you get up out of the theater. That's what really defines,
Are you getting us canceled tonight, Tim?
Maybe.
Did Kelly not say don't get canceled?
She didn't say it
to
tonight.
Tell you.
Usually,
like, yes, finally, she didn't tell me.
My wife, usually, but every time before I come down here to film, she's like, just don't get canceled tonight. Every night, every time.
There's a reason why it took me 3 years to get on here. I'm just saying.
I like edgy. Okay. Well, I'll do it then. I'm gonna do my let's just make the people cry. And I'm going to go, what is it? Why am I blanking on the name now? Because I didn't write it down. There it is. There it is. Empires, Age of a Discovery. Because what's more dark than colonization of the Americas? I literally watched people cry on YouTube because of a viticulture game. And that wasn't even, I didn't even know that was supposed to be offensive. So if you're offended by that, man, colonizing the United States, you're playing as Europeans, and sending them over, to the Americas, and you're fighting native tribes, maybe you might be getting,
you better pay us the gold that we require, or we're going to cut a hand off.
Dude, I got to tell you, when people came to me and they were like, well, there's no other games out there where you play the killers, like real live killers. I'm like, how many war games are out there?
Oh my God,
like,
Jeff, seriously, go home.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here, man. Yeah, you never played Risk,
Exactly. Like, oh my goodness.
In all seriousness, though, I do love this game.
That's great.
Great game.
I think it's awesome. But I started to be offended that people would be offended by this theme. I mean, it's a historical game. Bad things happened in history.
By that definition, somebody will be offended by it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Bad things. I'm sorry. Bad things happened in history. Learn from them.
I was talking about games based on history today, like at work, and talking about how people will get offended by it. And it's like, it's based on history. And okay, well, it's great that you're offended by those terrible things that happened. We don't do them anymore.
Yeah, learn from it.
Set that happened. That would, say weird things about you, but like it's okay to still talk about it and like play games that have it in it and things like that. Like, that's fine. It's okay. It's not the real thing. Like Jimmy Carr says, there's those things that are terrible, and then there's things about those things, and those are not as bad as those things.
I enjoy playing board games regardless of the themes, and but it doesn't mean that I'm gonna like go out and be like, standing on the sidewalk with a sign that's like, yay, imperialism, like, let's go.
Right.
Let's enslave native people. Like, come on, man. Like,
yeah,
don't be an idiot.
Right.
Anyway, so I just went like when Jeff said that earlier, like this hopped directly into my brain, and I'm like, okay, am I going to be an asshole tonight? I guess I am. So there you go. I didn't even write that down as like one of the 15 games that I wrote down. And Nix, I think that's it. I think that, people are always trying to find ways, not everybody, but there is a group of people.
There is a group of people out there
that are trying to find ways that they can be offended. And then it is even better if they are more offended by it than you are.
Absolutely.
So, anyways, so there's my pick to tell them to go kick rocks and just play a board game and have fun.
Absolutely.
So Jeff, everything else will be a little bit darker than that, I promise. But so I'm going to throw the softball to you now.
Oh, I thought that was fantastic. I love it. Okay. So my number 5 is a game that I found at Origins 2 years ago. And the pitch that they gave me was fantastic. It's a game called Hard Time. And I don't know how many people have played it, have seen it. It is a game where you are in prison. And you're an inmate in prison. Things are starting to go bad in prison. And so there's a feud that is breaking out in this prison, and you have to survive somehow. And so you have to survive by selling things, and you have like cigarettes and like ramen and stuff that you have to trade with people before you get shanked and end up dead in the game. And it is the concept is fantastic. I thought it was so good. They had like my weakness. They had like special promo like art cards there. And I was like, oh, I can't pass up the art card. And I will show you the art card that I got. If you guys could see it, it is a shank.
Oh, nice. It is a shank.
It's
nice.
like, it's, yeah, I was like, dude, that's got to be mine. And then they signed it on the back.
Nice.
But yeah,
Nice.
it is. The game is a lot of fun. And, again, very dark theme.
Right.
If you've been in prison, you may have some PTSD while playing this game.
Quick question. Are you allowed to increase the size of your prison wallet?
I'm just saying. I thought you were going to ask what else you could sell, Bob.
Everybody already knows that one.
Yeah. We had some friends, and it never went anywhere. But they were working on a game called Supermax, and you were all playing as supervillains trying to break out of a supervillain maximum security prison. And that was a game we got to play way years and years ago. Before we even had a show, we just happened to know the guys who were making it. They're like, "Oh, you want to play our prototype?" And we're like, "Yeah, we do." Man, that game was freaking cool, but it never saw the light of day, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that. Hard Times, so I got to look that up.
I wish you guys would have had time to come and like when we were doing the prototype and all the play testing for the profiler, you guys would have had a great time. Dude, that game is it's been good.
Yeah. Well, and our buddy West was like, "Guys, have you seen the profiler?" And I'm like, "I know, Jeff. I follow him on Facebook. I know the profile." But see,
dude, West was the very first killer ever in that game. He played the first play test, and he ended up being the killer. Dude, he was incredible.
I feel bad for everybody else.
Dude, he got everybody to give him so in the profiler, somebody you pick somebody to be the scribe that is kind of like the court reporter, right? That writes down all the evidence and everything that's been given out. And so West talked everybody in to making him the fucking the guy the scribe.
Right.
And so he was writing down all kinds of disinformation and the wrong stuff. And I'm just standing there laughing the whole time I'm moderating this game. And I'm like, oh my God, they are never going to figure out who it is. It was so good.
He's so evil. I love him. All right, Mike.
He is good at being evil. That is true. All right. I am actually going to start with the one that I haven't played. Shame on me. But It's just the theme alone in this one. I started thinking about gladiatorial combat and how brutal that is. And how about a game based on a show about gladiatorial combat, Spartacus, a game of blood and treachery?
Mm-hmm.
I actually have this in my collection. I've had it for quite some time. The Gale Force 9 version that actually had decent art. There we go.
Yeah, that's one I've got.
Unfortunately, I hate the art on the reprint.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, what better than taking gladiatorial combat, but now we're adding in bribing and blackmail and poison and betrayal. So we're taking something that's already dark and bloody and brutal, and we're adding all these extra elements to it, like bribery and, well, it says right here, the market phase is when players buy, sell, and trade assets, which consists of
People.
gladiators, slaves, equipment, and guards.
How do I not
there
own this game yet?
It's a good one.
And it's
Son of a
based
bitch.
on the show
Show's
Spartacus.
good too.
I also never did get a chance to watch, but I love games where I get to like bribe and bet and scheme, and so just doing that around arena combat. Just I've always been fascinated by the concept of this game, so it was one of the first ones I thought of.
Have you played it, Mike?
No.
Okay.
It can be long, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah, you just need the right group of people. Is what it is. It makes it a lot of fun because you the game essentially plays in like two phases. You've got that whole like bargaining and and everything phase, and you're kind of building up your house, and your political power and stuff. And then it's like, and now we go to the arena, and then it just turns into a half hour of gladiator combat, or longer or shorter. Depending on how it goes. So it's a little uneven, but I think if you're there for the experience, you're not just trying to I need to play the perfect game, like just relax, enjoy yourself. You're there for the experience. I think you have a good time with it.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I feel like a game that has decapitation printed on the board should make this list by default.
Yeah, you're betting on
That's
it,
for
right?
sure.
Yeah. 2-1.
Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But
I love it.
I've just gotta play this one. I've had this in the collection for a long time. I will not be getting rid of it because that Gale Force 9 version is way out of print. So
What is I've got Spartacus, and I've got the expansion, The Shadow of Death, which is I guess one of the really scary gladiators from the show. I didn't watch the show either, but I do have the game.
nice.
I did watch the show. The show is fantastic.
Yeah, I enjoy the show.
Excellent.
I think at the time I was like a butthurt was like Rome is better. Like the HBO show Rome was on kind of at a similar time. But anyways,
So there you go. That is my actual dark game on my list. I will be reaching a lot more from here on out.
Mike did yoga beforehand. He's been stretching.
mm-hmm.
All right, Bob, number 4.
All right. The ship lurches as the waves pound against it. The storm rages, pelting the deck with rain. The horrors that rise from the deep are unfathomable.
Yeah, I love this game.
I love it.
Boy.
It's fantastic. It's dark. And it made Battlestar Galactica is fine. It's overpriced now. This game, I think, delivers one of the best hidden trader kind of experiences that you can get. The Chaos deck is awesome. And we got to play this again recently, and it's fun every time we play it. So.
Never had a bad time playing this game.
Yep, never had a bad time playing this one. I've had some bad, I'm not gonna say bad, but less than desirable experiences playing some other types of hidden movement games, or hidden role games, and this one I haven't had that, so it's great. Have you played this one?
It's a really good one. It's just been a couple years for me.
Have you played this one, Jeff? Yeah.
I have not played that one.
Have you played Battlestar Galactica?
I have, yeah.
Okay. It's basically the same kind of a thing, right? Instead of Cylons, though, you've got deep ones, and they are coming up from the water, from the sea, and they're climbing on the boat and trying to stop you. And like to simulate like the boat moving as you like chuck the coal in there, the monsters will like move down the side of the boat to simulate the boat moving. You're trying to move like so many spaces before so much before you run out of food or you run out of sanity and things like that. And it's like stormy, and you can do like rituals to like hit the deck with electricity and kill everything on the deck. And you're just fight each other, and you're accusing people because like you have these trials that you have to do, and people can put in cards to help. But then there's this chaos deck which has like 2 of every card in it, and you always add cards from the chaos deck, and then you shuffle all the cards up, and then you flip them over to see if you succeed or not. And like the skills that match the challenge help, the skills that don't hurt. And so people can like, oh yeah, here I'm helping, and then putting something bad in the bag. Oh, it must have came from the chaos deck. That's crazy. But yeah,
it's so good.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's so good. All right, I'm just gonna get this out of the way so everybody can check off Tim Pander's off their bingo card right now.
You get it.
But friend of the show and a game that I do legitimately love and enjoy quite a bit. It's super dark, and the designer not only designed the game, but he did the artwork. And I'm talking about Zombie Survival Infection. Our buddy Jim Cole. Man, this game, I mean, it does have the coolest card in any board game.
It does.
Ever.
Any game ever.
It's the loose board card. You might recognize a couple of the dudes on that card.
Nice.
But no, in this game, you're basically playing as you reach your own like survivor faction, and you're going to have like a home base card, whether it's a mall or a prison or a city or like a tenement building, right? Like an apartment building,
right.
And the humans are a finite resource, so you're trying to gather humans, other living people to your there you go. Thanks, Trevor. You're trying to gather people to your camp, to your side, right? And then you're trying to send the zombies to the other people's camp, and kill their leaders and kill their their people that are helping them and everything. But this is super fun. It's mean as hell. Yeah. But the artwork's great. I mean, I love this kind of art.
Mm-hmm. I love how like it's a person on one side of the token, and then as they turn to zombies, you literally flip the token over the other side of the zombie token.
Yeah.
So it's like, and so there's only so many people on available, and like I said, finite resource. So.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. Again, mean as hell, not for everybody, but it sure is shit for me because right. when he sat down to play it with Bob and I, and he had never really met us before. I love it. Thanks. Thanks, Chip. He never really met us before. I talked to him like a little bit and stuff, and basically about like doing a video for his game because I thought it looked cool as hell. And then we met him at Gen Con, and at that particular Gen Con, we had a camera set up, and we were able to do some like interviews and film some playthroughs in the booth. And I grabbed Bob because I know this game's for Bob too. And he's like, okay, well, this game, how mean do we be? And Bob and I are like, don't hold back. Like, not with us. Because we're going to be mean. We're like, no, you sit me down to play a mean.
Full of facts. Oh.
You sit me down to play a mean game. We're going to play a mean game, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We had a great time. And we were kind of in love right there. But yeah, super fun game. I know the Kickstarter all went out and everything. You'll have to ask Jim how we can get it into your hands now. But it is out there.
I like how I was just real quick gonna say I like how there's like a natural progression that happens in this game, which sort of happens in every like zombie movie or TV show. Hey, we got a colony of survivors and everything's good and people are just getting slowly picked off. Well, then once you only have a couple people in your colony, things change real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden your entire colony is wiped out and you're the zombie going after all the survivors.
Yeah. Well, because if you draw that hidden bite card, and then because somebody's always trying to sneak into your your hideout with a bite hidden, and then all of a sudden now your colony's infected and you're rolling an infected die and you're losing people and they're turning into zombies. And then then there's a zombie win condition. So even when like you lose, you're not out of the game. You just join the other team.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
So little known fact, I once played a zombie in a B-rated zombie movie. I was an extra for that movie called Haven Hill. And there's actually a scene in that movie where they do a close-up of them blowing my brains out on a tree.
Nice. I've got to find Haven Hill now. All right.
If you can find it, let me know, because I've never seen it myself. So
okay. Now, was that like a thing where they were like filming it in the town you live in or something like that? Or
yeah, it was a local director who's a friend of mine, who he's done a bunch of different things, but that was, I think, his definitely his horror debut. That was the first horror movie that he had done. But it was a really cool time. I have some pictures from me wearing some really tight ripped off jeans and a white t-shirt and blood all over me.
Nice.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I know that guy.
That's wicked. Yeah, super fun, very thematic game. It's a blast.
Yep.
All right, I guess it's my turn for my number 4.
Yeah.
And sadly, this is not a game that I've played either, but you'll understand the reason for it being on my list. It is, and I would not normally put one of these games on my list either, but it is a Steve Jackson game. And the reason why it's on my list, this had nothing to do with Killers the card game. I actually found it at like a thrift store or something long after Killers was released, but it is the Steve Jackson game called Burn in Hell. I have no idea how to play this game. I read the rules and it didn't make any goddamn sense to me. So I'm not sure how to play it at all. All I know is when I opened up the box, the very first card I saw was the Saddam Hussein card. And I thought, hold on a second. I think like Steve did it 15 years before I did any of this stuff. So there's like a Jack the Ripper card. There's a Rasputin card. You've got L. Ron Hubbard. Lizzie Borden. Yeah, Lizzie Borden is in the game. So it is quite an interesting game. And apparently you are all burning in hell, and there are different levels of hell, and you're trying to you're trying to get to a different level or something. I'm not, like I said, I don't know how the hell this game works, but I thought the art was really cool. I looked at it and I was like, dude, like I gotta own this game. I feel like it's like Killer's lineage. Except I think I'm the first person that actually put the actual pictures on the cards. But yeah, and there's a funny little anecdote that goes with this. I want to say it was at Gen Con, either last year or the year before. But Steve Jackson was there. And so I went up to talk to him about Burn in Hell and about the kind of influence sort of that it had later on with my recognizing it and Killers. And Steve looked at me and he kind of gave me acknowledgement for about 3 seconds and then went on and talked to the other guy that he was talking to, and had no interest in actually having a conversation with me. And I got blown off by Steve Jackson. It was good.
Well,
Find the Rasputin card. Where'd it go?
I found a trailer to your movie.
I went through so many of these that I.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. You'll have to tell me if you're in it, but I'll send it to you.
Okay.
You mentioned the rules and how bad they are. I'm going to say, based on this 4.4 rating, you're not the only person that had issues with these rules.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you this. I shouldn't say this too loud. I am not a huge fan of BGG. The way that they do things sometimes, and even though I know that the rules are not great for Burn in Hell, I think a lot of times on BGG, people will look at content and they'll never play the game, because I know that this is true when it comes to killers, right? Because I've got like a 1-star review on there. That guy has never played it one time. He never even left any real comment on there. And I'm like, okay, it's cool. You don't like the content. That's fine. But at least play the game and then have a real opinion about the game before
otherwise
you
just
go and
keep
leave
walking.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, so anyway, I don't always put all my stock in BGG's reviews.
Same.
No, you can't, because they're not, there's no confirmation that people have even touched the game. There's people that review bomb games just because they haven't received the Kickstarter yet.
Yeah.
And they're trying to offset the people that have put tens who have also not received their Kickstarter yet. I'm totally with you on this number and this ranking being pretty arbitrary. But it is a great resource for information, of course.
For sure.
But, when I see something like that, I sometimes have to point it out, especially for a game that's been out 20 years, and of course, rule books have come a long way in that time too. But yeah, you see some reviews where people clearly never even touch the game. So I'm with you there. Okay, I guess it is back to me. This was one I added to the list later, and I kind of had to like sort of shoehorn this one in. This is actually a family weight game, and it's a game where you need to take care of grandma's farm. Now, this doesn't sound dark whatsoever, except that Granny Hortensia, owner of the lands of an eccentric farmer's family, dies one day without leaving a will. One night, the moon turns reddish, and the grandmother reappears as a ghost to put her 4 grandchildren to the test. She will visit them 3 times, always coinciding with the red moon. After her 3 appearances, whoever has become the most experienced farmer will inherit all of her land. So let's rewind. What you're telling me is that nobody earned our grandma's inheritance, and we will have to do some misery farming, which, I'm sorry, farming is very difficult work. None of it sounds fun. And our grandma will reappear during the blood moon 3 times and then judge how good our crappy farms are. Yeah, that's pretty dark to me. So that's why La Familia Hort made my list. Now, Bob's shaking his head because we played this game and did not enjoy it whatsoever. And unfortunately, it was republished or redistributed in the States by Grand Gamers Guild, and they've made a ton of great games. This was a low light as far as I'm concerned. It's got really cute art, like the art drew a lot of people in when this was released during Origins of this year, but the gameplay was just nothing that
It was lacking.
It was very much lacking. It ended before it got interesting.
Yep.
And there are lots of other farming games that are way more interesting than this one. But I thought it would be funny to talk about how your grandma's ghost comes back during the blood moon to judge your ability to farm, and that's how she decides who gets the inheritance. How creepy is that?
So I was one of the people at I saw it at Gamma, is the first place that I saw it last year. And so I was at Gamma and I was talking to the designer there because I really liked the artwork. And I was like, oh, that looks really cool. It was kind of a creepy theme. And I was like, well, what the hell is that game about? And then he told me it was about farming. And I was like, I think I'm out. I think I'm done. Like, I'm not interested anymore. But thanks anyway. I appreciate it. Like, you can keep it. I am also not a Eurogamer guy. When we got too many meatballs and got to move too many things around the board, I'm out. Like, I'm not interested in setting up a board that takes me an hour and a half to set up to play for 3 hours. Like, I'm not interested. Plus, if you have a rule book that is more than like 10 pages and you can't tell me how to play your fucking game in less than a page or two, I'm not interested in playing. Give me some quick rules or I'm out. So, or I have somebody explain it to me and walk me through it.
Fair. It's an acquired taste for some people, for sure, to dig through the amount of rules you have to get through for some of these games. I think so. There are some that are worth the time investment, and then there are plenty of others that are not. So even though I'm a Euro gamer, my threshold for some of those heavy games, like, it better be a damn good game if you got a 40-page rule book and it's going to take a half hour plus to set up.
We had a guy tell us that, because we had a negative opinion on a game that we've played 3 times for a total of 6 hours or so or more. Didn't like it. Well, we should have played it for 10 hours. Then we'd like it. You didn't put enough time into it. So.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah, and then make sure you add that expansion, because that's
make sure
going to
you pay all the extra money for the expansion and play with that too.
This game just didn't fit the theme. I felt like the theme was pigeonholed into the mechanics. The art was kind of the main redeeming factor of it. And unfortunately fell very flat. So I just thought it would be funny to sort of make light of that theme for this list. So I'm glad you at least had the same experience that I did without playing it. You didn't miss anything, Jeff.
Yeah, you didn't miss that. Didn't miss that.
Unfortunately. Sorry, Tim. I already apologized to Grand Gamers Guild, but they only redistributed that game. So
yeah, I mean, look, we didn't publish a video. We didn't publish a video on that because we played it and didn't like it. I know that game sold very well at Origins, and great for them. I'm very happy for them.
They have a lot of games I love. That wasn't one of them.
It's really hard to get a game published, so I'm really glad for the people that got it made. But yeah, I didn't like it.
Not for us.
Can't all be winners.
Yeah, you gotta say bangers. Bangers is cooler. They can't all be bangers.
All right, I guess. As long as nobody's banging Grandma Hort.
Oh boy.
Let's move on to number 3.
Picture this. Sicily, 1921.
Oh, it's a Golden Girls game.
I know, yeah.
Let's go.
So, as renowned scientists, you've come from around the world to take part in a grand competition taking place in 1819. The winner could unlock the greatest prize of all, the mysteries of mortality, and become the heir to Frankenstein in Abomination, which is one of the darkest games that I've ever played, where you're literally collecting body parts, you're putting them on your slab, you're zapping them with electricity and trying to reanimate them. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite Halloween types of games I love to play. Depending on where you go, cemetery, morgue, back alley, or where they hang people at the town square, depends on how fresh your bits are. And you get more points for using fresher bits, but every turn they decay and they get less and less fresh, so you get fewer points for them. You got to manage your sanity, your popularity, and your knowledge. You're earning money. You can go to the university to give lectures to gain money and more knowledge. And yeah, it's one of those games though that can take 2 hours to play. But that's your board, right? So you got those body pieces laying on the side of your board. You're literally put a leg on it, put an arm on it, put a head on it, and you're zapping it with electricity, trying to animate it and bring it to life.
Can you put a ring on it?
Oh God, never mind. Don't. I regret giving you a second to talk. No, the juice is worth the squeeze on this bad boy right here. This is fun. This game's really cool.
Yeah, so you see that 1, 2, 3, 4, and those nice colorful cubes. Well, those nice colorful cubes are representing muscle, tissue, blood, bones, and then they're
Animal parts.
animal, orange is animal parts, and you only give it tiger blood. And they're literally, those are stages of decay. And so if you're using, the bits out of 1 and 2, you're going to get more points than if you're using the bits that have been sitting around a while. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of dark, our resident troll is in the house, and
Yeah.
he doesn't actually like the show. He just tunes in every week to get out of watching Survivor.
With his wife.
Oh, I got to do this other thing. Sorry, sweetie. Yeah.
We still like you, Chris, even if you don't like us. Thanks for being here.
Hates our show, but watches it every week. Good pick, Bob. I figured this would make somebody's list. One of these days, I have to play this game.
You haven't played it at all yet?
No.
Oh, my God.
I know.
Yeah. It's very good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's the thing, guys. I challenge you to a game, or to play a game, to come up with a game, to even be aware of a game that has Torquemada, Jack the Ripper, Idi Amin, Vlad the Impaler, Jim Jones, Edward Teach, all kinds of Bloody Mary. There's Julius Caesar, Cardinal Richelieu, Rutherford B. Hayes, Richard Nixon. Here's the thing. Time travel fixes a lot of things, right? And this game is like, it kind of is built on that premise of, like, oh, well, if we had time travel, I would just go back in time and kill Hitler when he's a baby. You know what I mean? Changes everything. So, but that's a problem because you don't know how you're going to affect the future.
Effect.
So, what the time nannies have done is they have built an evil baby orphanage, and you are going through time and you are abducting these horrible people from the past and prehabilitating them and try to get them so that they're a little less evil.
Tim, I just want to say I played this game so long ago, I forgot how it played, and I almost threw this on here as like a troll pick, but it just wasn't a very good game. So.
Oh, you're correct, but it's such a weird theme. I will never get rid of this thing.
When did you play that?
That's amazing.
Oh my God, years ago, Bob. I think I picked this up at one of the first Geekways.
Oh my God.
Or maybe
That's
even
wild.
at a IndieCon back in like 2013, like on the flea
You didn't
market.
play with Mike.
No, I did not play with Mike. No.
Okay.
I didn't even know, Tim, that you guys existed when I played this. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I love the theme of this. This was one of those games where it's like a second I heard about it, I'm like, I don't even care if it's any good. I want to have this game and I want it in my collection because it's so bizarre. And I just love the cheeky theme. Unfortunately, Jim Jones is a product of Indiana. But
what's really funny about that? I
and
literally
Charles
2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago now stopped at the church where Jim Jones first started there in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I was there. So
man, we've had all these brushes with darkness. H.H. Holmes, wasn't he caught in Indiana with like a suitcase with the kids in it?
Yeah, well, he was from Illinois, right?
Yeah.
Well, in Chicago, but I thought he was traveling with, and he was hiding like children in the suitcase.
Yeah, he had a suitcase that was a gas chamber.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's bananas. Indiana's got an amazing history.
You got Belle Gunnis was in Indiana too.
Yeah, she was. LaPorte,
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yep, LaPorte.
Yep. That's like 20 minutes from here. That ain't even that far.
Yeah.
Right. Buffalo Bill, yeah. Right.
I cannot believe that
was he in Indiana?
No, Ed Gein was Oklahoma.
Oh, was it Oklahoma?
I can't believe this game made a list. I'm just beside myself.
Listen, that's a dark theme, man.
Well, you're above me.
It's a dark theme. You're right. It is.
That's for sure.
A good game.
Come on, man.
Not a good game. But
You know,
man,
I'm gonna run to the deepest, darkest corners and try to
Is that
find
a
the
hipster
weirdest,
pick? Is that our
the
hipster
weirdest
pick?
stuff I can drag out into the light.
Golly.
it was. I mean, I was trying to do the same thing, but it was so bad. I couldn't.
Couldn't bring
I
yourself to
couldn't
do
even. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, Mike. Here's the thing: is you feel that the thing that's pride fucking with you.
Pride
You gotta
fucking
you gotta get rid of that.
You gotta let that go, man.
You gotta let that
That's
go.
amazing.
You're going down to the 5th.
I can't wait to tell my uncle who taught me this game over 10 years ago that this got brought up on the show. I just wow. Oh man. Good stuff. I didn't think anybody else knew about this.
Come
game.
on, dude.
I just like they spelled weird with a Y. I bet they're Wild Stallion fans.
Oh yeah, weird miniatures. Yeah, so the same people did like Vagrant Song and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Wow.
I had never heard of that game either. So that's
You're
a new one on me. Wow. I'm going to have to.
Stuff.
Contains 40 evil babies.
I'm going to have to
They're
find
all
me a
evil.
copy of that. That's
love
amazing.
My favorite card for no particular reason is the Rutherford B. Hayes, because on each card it says like kind of like maybe why they were bad, and on his it just says he knows what he did. That's all it says.
That's amazing.
Wow.
It's so
Dude,
good.
Dude, one of my favorite things, like with Killers, is that I did all the flavor text.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, I did basically everything, but like
Wait,
I
Flavor
went
text
through.
on a card with a cannibal on it. Just checking.
So, like for example, like there's the ball gag card, and it says "just shut the fuck up" on there. Like I love it. I love all the flavor.
It's so good.
Would you file that into one of 37 semi-appropriate toys?
Yeah, maybe.
Absolutely.
Oh, nice.
That's funny.
On my hair.
Speaking of toys, let's see Mike's Amazon cart real quick. Or Jeff can just go on with his number 3.
That's probably
All right.
Oh, what are you doing, man? Oh my god.
All right, number 3. I'm going to do a little bit of pandering myself.
Go for it.
Because this one is a designer that I'm good friends with. Awesome guy from Columbus, and I love just about everything he does. He just put out, I think his latest game is not this one that I'm going to talk about, but this might have been his first one. But his latest game was Nuns with Nunchucks that came out, and I am talking about the incomparable Jordan McLaughlin. And we met at several different conventions and have hung out a bunch of times. But the game that I'm talking about is Don't Get Stabbed. And it is a great little game. He just put out a reprint. They did another Kickstarter for the reprint, and I have a copy of that. I backed it on Kickstarter. But yeah, it is a good little game where you can also play as the killer. One person that's playing is the killer. Everybody else is a victim. The victims are trying to get together to get away from the killer, to escape. They can, dodge the killer. They could stab the killer, and or the killer can kill everybody else and terrorize them, and the killer will win if all the victims are dead. So it's a fun little kind of cheeky game. The artwork is kind of cool, as you can see. It's a very cool stab at a horror movie. Mm-hmm. I'll show you the new box. This is the new one he just released because that's the old one. But yeah, this is the new one here. Yeah,
I like that dude.
He does a great job with all of his stuff. So yeah, just give like Jordan a little shout out. I haven't seen him in a while. We haven't run across each other at any conventions, and he just had a birthday not too long ago.
Yeah, well, happy birthday. I know he's not watching, but still, happy birthday.
Sweet. I saw something that was it 4 or 5 doctors agree getting stabbed is bad for you.
Yeah.
I want to know who that 5th doctor is.
4 out of 5 doctors agree. One of those doctors is just an idiot. So.
I'm gonna guess that one doctor is the killer.
Maybe.
There you go. No, it's good for you. See, look how much better you feel. Huh? You're losing weight already.
It's letting out the humors, right? It's a medieval doctor. He's bleeding you.
That's right.
Leeches are too slow. It's just easier if I stab you and let out the evil.
Yeah, you're good bloodletting. It's good for you.
Yeah, a barber, good old barber. All right, Mike, top that.
All right. Well, this is one where just kind of by nature of what's happening, you end up with something that's kind of dark here. So my number 3 is called Gods Love Dinosaurs. The reason this is dark is because in Gods Love Dinosaurs, a cheeky, wild, and timeless take on the scientific tale as old as life itself, you are a god who has been tasked with designing an ecosystem with a sustainable food chain of predator and prey animals, but you just love dinosaurs. So all you really want to do is make as many of them as possible. How do you do that in this game? Well, first, you're going to start by putting prey animals on tiles. So you're going to be putting out kind of cute rats and rodents and like cute little birds and stuff. Well, prey animals are going to get killed by predator animals. So then you start putting out hawks and tigers, and those predator animals are going to get eaten by dinosaurs. And ultimately, your goal is to have as many dinosaurs as possible. None of these animals really matter other than becoming a food source for predators, and your predators a food source for your dinosaurs. I actually think this game was probably insanely underrated. It may have been because it came out in 2020.
Oh,
I'd heard
COVID
of
killed
this.
it. Yeah.
I had heard of this game. I don't think the name of the game does it any justice. Like the name and the cover, I'm like, I'm just not interested. But it was Darcy at the last Julia Con that I went to that mentioned this game 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, fine. Everything you teach me is a good game. I will stop resisting. And then I actually really enjoyed this game. So you're basically just putting out these hex tiles. These hex tiles are going to attract the certain types of animals onto them. Yeah, thanks, Andrew. I really did try to stay away from the obvious stuff tonight. But they're luring out these animals. But you really have like this tile market that drives this game, and these different tiles, when they deplete, these animals activate. So the column that gets emptied out first, those predators act, and they will eat their prey in like a certain formation. And then the dinosaurs have a phase, and they're going to move and eat certain predators. But if a dinosaur can't eat, he dies. So you have to line up your prey to be within range of your predators based on this hex map that you're building, while also keeping your predators within range of the dinosaurs. Yeah, there you go. A bit of a reach, but if you can imagine a universe where no other animal matters except dinosaurs, I think you'd find yourself in a pretty dark place.
That's fair, especially when the meteor hits and wipes them all out. It gets real dark then.
Yeah, then you got nothing. So a bit of a reach, but I've never talked about this game before. I was fascinated by this one. It's very, very good. It was a surprise hit for me.
I'll have to find this one. I like the idea of it.
Imagine a dinosaur-only existence. I mean,
it sounds like Dominant Species, except with just dinosaurs. Like,
man, the boo birds are coming out.
Well, it's just Chris. Well,
good thing,
Chris is all the boo birds.
The boo birds are good prey. So
yeah, famously.
We'll allow it. They got a lot of protein on them. All right. Let's get to Bob's number 2.
Nothing says dark like taking a terrible, terrible tragedy and turning it into a fun family game. But
Damn
the
it,
downfall of Pompeii.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Monopoly.
It takes a terrible tragedy and it turns it into a fantastic, fun game where you get to throw your friends into the volcano. And it's so extremely satisfying. I talk about this game all the time because I think it deserves all the love in the world. It's super old, but it's super good. And I've taught it to tons of people. Everybody enjoys it. But when you really stop to think about it, it's pretty awful. But yeah, so it had to be on my list because I put it on every list I can. And it's fantastic. It's played in 2 segments. The first segment, you're playing cards and you're bringing people into the city. And then all of a sudden the lava cards get drawn. And once the lava cards are drawn, the cards go away. You start pulling tiles out of the bag. The tiles are going to go on the board, and you're going to run people over with lava. You get to pick the pieces up and chuck them into a little 3D volcano they've got, and that is way more satisfying than it should be. And
it's so good.
Whoever gets the most people out wins, and if there's a tie, then whoever has the fewest people inside the volcano ends up being your winner. But I have been kicking around and gotten pricing. I want to make a large version of this. I'm talking 7 foot by 13 foot vinyl board, make a huge 3D volcano out of something, and then I want big foam pieces so people can just chuck people into a volcano. I just think that'd be so much fun.
I think to provide the proper context that this needs for this list is you just need to say you are moving people into the city of Pompeii knowing that half of them are going to die.
This is one of my
fire.
favorite games that I don't own. I need
They're
to own this game. It's so damn
alive
good.
by lava, which at the end of the game is all of these blue tiles here.
I got to tell you, I feel like the board should have the like little penises and stuff on it that Pompeii actually had there in the city. So I you know,
I think you lose the family-friendly part at that point, though.
I mean, have you ever known me to be family-friendly?
I mean, look at the wall behind.
like I feel like you should be able to like upgrade your board. It should be an expansion.
Right, there you go, the penis expansion. Yeah,
that's true.
Pay extra for a penis expansion, let me tell you.
as long as you add a couple fig leaves, I think you're good.
Yeah. Then doesn't it become Greek at that point? That's a whole different game.
That's a whole other
game.
Fine.
Bob, I love this freaking game. It's so good. It's really fun, really dark. I love it. Okay. My pick. I'm trying to put games on here we don't talk about a lot.
So it's the opposite of what I did.
And yeah, obviously that's what you did because you never talk about.
No,
I never talk about Pompeii.
Talk about this.
My game shares the title with one of the most famous lines from Monty Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail, and I'm talking about "Bring Out Your Dead." In this game, you are playing like Victorian era grave diggers. Yeah. And there's a cemetery with like a river that runs through it, and you're like throwing bodies into the graves, but maybe I'm chucking your bodies out of the graves and into the river that I can bury my bodies there. You're playing cards so you could like add bodies to the grave to stack them up. It's grim work. This is published by Upper Deck. Super fun game, underrated. It's weird, it's goofy,
control-ish, but it's with dead bodies.
Yeah, and it plays fast. It's not hard to learn. It's
actually little coffins, which look super cool.
Yeah. And then like all the time we're like, "Bring out your dead," like nonstop throughout the whole thing.
For sure.
But this game's fun. It rocks and is totally forgotten. You know. But really fun game. I enjoy Bring Out Your Dead.
All right. So my number 2, without further ado, we talked about this one before, and it is the one game that I feel like has eclipsed even what I've done in the gaming world. And there are some things in this game, and let me tell you, I don't know. I have not actually played a round of this game. I have sold it to people, and I have read the rules, and it also probably has the worst board that I have ever seen for a board game ever. I don't understand. There are some really cool elements to this game. The packaging also not very good. It comes in a cylinder.
You're selling the hell out of this thing.
A cylinder. I don't know how you stack a cylinder on a shelf. Like cylinders roll, right? And so like it is quite a unique game. It is an SCPA game, right? And I'm willing to bet that none of you have heard of this game. Let me read. I'm going to read the memo that you get from the administrator for this game. It says, "We secure, we contain, we protect. While mankind is blinded by the light, we must fight the darkness. We must resist it, contain it, and shield it from the eyes of the public so that they may live a sane and orderly existence. No one else can protect the world from this darkness, from the anomalous, from the terrifying unknown. Throughout human history, there has always been someone to look out for the innocent, to maintain an illusion of normalcy. This cannot change. We must continue to stand up to the monsters that roam in the shadows. This is our purpose, and the reason our goals justify our means, no matter the cost. The Foundation must act as the world's protector, as its silent guardian. But we face a catastrophe. There has been a containment breach at Site 19. Anomalies have broken free of their cells, killed the keepers, and now prowl through the site. Some possess the ability to alter time and space. Many are capable of carnage. All threaten to escape into the wider world. Worst of all, without a swift recontainment of the anomalies, we face the possibility that the Foundation's existence will be revealed to the public. So we need your help. Round up the anomalies, preserve our research, and protect our anonymity. Then and only then should you consider your escape. You are alone in this assignment. Our mobile task forces will not make it to the site in time, but the clock is also ticking for you. If you are unable to restore order, we are left with no option but to raise Site 13 to the ground. So hurry. We do not want a repeat of the incident at Site 13. So this game is a European game, and it is called Escape from Site 19. Now, it's an SCPA game, so you are in this game. You're doing different challenges, trying to fulfill certain goals before you can escape from Site 19. Now, to do these different goals, and there's the lovely cylinder there, to do these different goals, you have to perform these challenges. And some of the challenges are really super cool, right? You may have to blindfold everyone in your party, turn your clothes inside out, and circumnavigate the room. That could be cool, could be a lot of fun. This game is an experience, right? However, where it gets into really, really dark and really disturbing is when you have to have the possibility of drinking toilet bowl water out of the toilet. Or when you may have to cut pieces off of your partners or cut them during the game to fulfill your requirements, or eat pieces of their flesh to fulfill that requirement, or eat excrement to fulfill the requirements of a challenge. So when I say that this game has even, and there's the board, I was going to show you guys that. That is the board that you're playing on for the game. It is a shockingly lackluster board for a game that really has a lot of great concept ideas. And this is a game, honestly, that I would take and publish with a bunch of changes.
Mm.
And I actually did express that to them, that I think about half of the cards should be taken out of the game and they should be saved for like an X-rated expansion, right?
Mhm.
Where somebody really, really wants to do all the really wild, crazy shit, and you have a group of friends that really want to be into that, then by all means, eat all the turds you want, pee on each other, cut each other, whatever you want to do. If you're all are into that, hey, have fun, play that, but please don't call me to play that expansion. However, that's all in the base game. So, I cautioned them against that. I also told them that I thought the board needed to change. That I think that with SCPA, there's a lot of cool stuff, cryptids, ghosts, all kinds of abominations that you could do some incredible artwork for that and really make the game very engaging, that they didn't do, clearly. So I think that there's a lot of ways that it could be really neat, but it needs a lot of work. But it is for sure one of the wildest games that I have ever seen. And it makes my top 2 of dark themed games.
Yeah, that's dark. That's really dark. Even though I did for a minute think you were describing Bob's Tinder profile. But
Here's
That's hilarious.
a thumbnail for an unboxing video right there. Yeah. I guess I'm just waiting for the Scat Play expansion, is what I'm hearing.
Oh,
Good Lord.
It's in the base game. You don't have to wait for the expansion. It's all in there, baby.
Wow. I don't know what to think of this.
Yikes.
Were they selling this at like the Indie Game Alliance booth or what?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I have, over the last 2 years, I've sold 5 copies.
I'm gonna have to watch for this next show and see if Matt's got one, because I want to own one just to say I've got it. I don't know that I'll play it, but I want to own it, say I've got it.
I do own it. I had to take one with me because I was like, I gotta have that in my collection. But it is an interesting game.
Yeah, that lady looks so sweet on there. You never would have thought she was into that kind of stuff.
That's Bob's kind of lady, honestly.
Scroll the other way. Scroll the other way.
Huh?
Right there.
Oh, here.
Yeah, like a lovely lady. You would never think she's into eating poop.
Well, the thing is, she at that point maybe doesn't know what she's in for.
She don't know what she's in for yet.
Right.
Like, 2 creators, 1 content.
Yeah.
All
I could think of is like the Belko experiment meets I can't think of that movie now.
Scroll back up there. Look at that second one, right? That card where it has it looks like the cuts on the arm. Right?
Oh my word.
Yeah, it's a wild game.
Man, I do not want to eat poop or drink toilet water, but I do love owning bizarre games. It's a point of pride with me. It used to be like try to find the most fucked up movie I could find and have it in my collection, just, freak people out. And that translates over to, anything I collect, and board games, obviously.
That's a great point that Rita comes up with here. What's in this tumbler here? And do you need a FetLife account to play this? I'm just asking for a friend.
Yeah.
Wow.
Surprised Mike knows what that is.
I'm not giving away any secrets.
There we go.
Well, they're not secret anymore.
Yeah.
That's true.
We didn't talk a whole lot about what we were drinking tonight, but I picked this bottle up tonight because it looked interesting and oranges sounded good.
Ooh.
And this stuff is really good.
Tom Bullocks.
So I am finished with the 2 shots that I had earlier. But That was my absolute favorite Scotch. It is a single malt and Talister Storm. Oh man, so good, so smooth.
Nice.
I'm cranking through this bottle of Old Tub Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskey. It's pretty good. It's nothing fancy or expensive, but it's not bad for the price.
I had some Iron Smoke and Coke Zero earlier, and then I kind of stopped drinking.
I was gonna have some real like eggnog, but yeah, it I didn't have any eggnog left, and I was like, maybe I'm not gonna break out the Irish whiskey without it.
Fair, that's fair.
Pablo here with a few good picks. I forgot about Guillotine. That's a old fun little filler there.
What's dark about that? That's
I love
positive.
it. Yeah, I'm all for it.
Eat the rich.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, say the old aristocrats are today's CEOs, right? Just say, maybe live your life in a way that the internet doesn't celebrate your murder. Just saying.
That's
I got nothing.
And he was
all right. I guess it's time for my number 2. Here's where we make something dark that doesn't really appear dark at its surface.
You're starting now? Just checking.
What?
Keep going.
As you were.
It's the year 1972. The Space and Aeronautics Global Alliance successfully completed the first ever hyperspace trip to Mars, but celebrations were cut short when the crew of the Mercury 3 rocket missed their re-entry window and an explosion damaged the ship. Now you must work together to bring the rocket and the crew home safely because you have 20 minutes to get your ship and all of the people on it safe, or you all die in mission control critical orbit. This is a real-time cooperative roll and write game. There's nothing quite like it. Cue up Mike's pandering slightly, but in the reality, you see your fate in front of you. You have 20 minutes of oxygen left. And if you don't successfully complete it, everybody on the ship dies. How dark is that? Except it's a really fun roll and write game.
Space is dark, right?
It's cool. Man, the people that came up with this idea, man, they got to be sadists. I'm telling you.
Well, I know that at least one of them is because he likes playing games with me, and that is sadism. That is the definition of sadism.
There's one of them right there.
He likes waiting for Mike to take his turn.
Well, that's true too.
Oh, wow. Maybe waiting for me to connect the pipes as the eighth or not, because I was terrible at that.
You were terrible at that. You were terrible.
I'm really good with polyominoes, but man, something about the way those pipes were shaped just really screwed me up. But basically, you're playing like these different mini games. Like one person is adding up these numbers to try to get their sums to equal a specific total. One person is playing a little Sudoku puzzle. The other person is playing kind of a Tetris game here. The Ethernaut, meanwhile, is taking special bonuses from all these other three and trying to play like a pipe dream sort of game and connect these like different canisters to preserve the oxygen in this 20-minute timed game. It is a blast. There's really just nothing quite like it. But the fact that if this was a real life scenario, you are timing your death is pretty dark.
I finally got my copy of this game signed at QSCon back in September. Finally.
There you go. The sickos that created this.
Those monsters. Those are some good dudes that make that game. I love it. That's a good pick, Mike. Yeah, it is kind of fun to be like, well, the whole thing is if we don't succeed, you die. So it is dark.
At least it's just Mike that dies.
Yeah, that's true. Did we even try that? I was like, nah, It's fine.
I mean, we tried.
Yeah, I mean, a little
Give
bit.
the old college try.
We're like, Tim, this is a real-time game. You don't have time to go to the bathroom. It'll take like 5 minutes. I'll be back.
Yeah. Go on without me.
All right. Mike, it's that time.
It is time for number one.
Well, it was the obvious pick from me. You know it was going to happen, but the year 1888.
I thought you were going to say 25-25. If man is still alive.
25. No, 1888, Tim.
Oh, okay, fine.
Dark. It's London, and there's blood in the street.
London town.
As Jack the Ripper has struck again, and now he must evade the bubbies to get back to his hideout so that he can kill again another night. I love Letters from Whitechapel. It was the first game I wrote down. Playing Jack is my favorite because I think it's so much fun to just try to evade your friends. And I've had so many good cat and mouse stories come out of this game. If you haven't played it before, Jack is going to literally kill one of the wretched, put a bloodstain token on the map on a numbered space. All the cops know that Jack was there on a certain turn. And then every turn, you're moving from one number to another number, trying to make it back to your hideout, while all the police are going on those little black squares. And then they can either search for clues or make an arrest at a numbered space that's adjacent. And yes, Andrew and I forget the other gentleman's name. They caught me in the last round. I was right next to my hideout. Almost made it at the very end of the game because it plays over 4 nights. And so basically you're doing like 2 murders, then the double murder, then 1 more murder. And that last night they caught me just before I got to my hideout. But yeah, it is one of my favorite games, and it's great.
Would you say you would have gotten away with it if it weren't for those rotten kids?
Yes.
Just joking.
So I almost put this on my list too. I love this game. It is also another one of those games when I hear people talk shit about killers, and they're like, "There's no other games." I'm like, also, when I go into game stores and I see that they carry Letters from Whitechapel or Secret Hitler, I'm like, you should carry Killers the card game. And when they tell me no, I'm like, you don't know what you actually sell, because you already have this here. You know, anytime you can play Jack and go and kill prostitutes, you know, it's there. Yeah. So one of the things I have to say is, well, other than the game is fantastic, well, I don't know. There was something I was going to say and it's gone now. So, I know what I was going to say now. For all of you that are listening in, you should check out my podcast, because the last episode was an episode on Jack the Ripper. Nice. And I had a buddy of mine who is a ripperologist, Michael L. Hawley. And he came on and we discussed Jack the Ripper. He believes that Jack the Ripper was Francis Tumblety. And he has found evidence that after the Ripper murder stopped, there is a direct lineage to Tumblety moving back to the United States. He was in London during the time. He moved back to the United States. And then there were 39 or so new murders that happened along the railway here in the United States that were very consistent with the Ripper murders in London. So, check out that episode on the podcast if you are at all interested in the Jack the Ripper phenomenon.
Man, that sounds awesome. I gotta listen to that. I love the From Hell theory, which, you know, poses that it was a member of the royal family, right? You know, but obviously that's a thing that Alan Moore, you know, heard and ran with, you know, and made an awesome graphic novel out of, and then they made a pretty good movie out of that too. But
I love the movie. Matter of fact,
good.
Yeah, Michael Hawley told me that that Johnny Depp actually read one of his screenplays for Tumblety.
No doubt.
when he was doing the movie From Hell, because he's good friends with Stuart Evans, who wrote the script for From Hell. So yeah. So anyway.
No, that's cool, man. That's very cool. Bob, great pick. Love that game. Man, I've got so many good ones to choose from. I know Nick's, he said Bloody End should be in this list, and it should.
Yeah,
that game's
short list, but it seemed obvious.
I just don't know which one to pick. Thank you, Mike, for taking a Third World Studios game, so I don't have to take their other dark themed game. Their legitimately dark themed game. To talk about the charcuterie. Yeah, but it's Hannibal Lecter's charcuterie. No. You know what, though? I think I will go with Bloody End. I was going to go Mask of the Red Death, but I'm going to go Bloody End. So in Bloody End, what you're doing is you basically are running this in on the French countryside, Victorian again times-ish, and you are going to have customers come and stay in the rooms in your inn, and then you are going to decide whether you are going to kill them for their money, or maybe you let them go. But if you kill them, here's the bad thing: is you now have to bury the body before the cops come, because if the cops come and you've got bodies laying around, well, obviously that's a bad thing. And this does a really cool push and pull thing with the money and how you score. And the cards are multi-use. You can use the cards as extra structures to add on to your inn, or you can use them for an ability, or like I said, you can have that person stay in your room and you can kill them for the money. So an amazing art. I love this art style. It's it's trying to be true to the time period, and I feel like it really conveys that. But an amazingly dark game, but is really fun to play. Yeah, I enjoy Bloody End a lot. And it's such a cool vibe and theme and everything, and it's dark and mean as hell. I like it.
It's fun.
It's just another one that I still really got to play. But
have you never played it, Mike?
No.
Yeah.
It's got that Van Helsing art.
The highlight for me, definitely that Weberson Santiago art.
Yeah, Jim, I would rather not. I shouldn't say rather. I would also like an H.H. Holmes style of game where you are making your murder hotel. That would be amazing to do.
It'd be almost like a Boss Monster, but it's a hotel and you're
right.
People instead.
The wheels are already turning.
Nice.
Right? I mean, he went to a whole new level. I will say that there's certain real estate moguls that will hire people to build buildings and then they don't pay them and they just kind of sue them and then make them, go away that way. H.H. Holmes was the OG. Holmes would just kill them. He would not pay them and then he would kill them. Pablo, I would try to only put games on my list that I played. I own Freedom, the Underground Railroad. Haven't played it yet. Dying to. But what a dark and depressing theme. But yeah, Jim, you build body chutes into the basement, the gas chamber.
Absolutely.
You know, all those things.
I believe that if I decided to make that game, I think it would have to be my first Euro.
Oh yeah.
Like you would have to have meeples and build things in that game to make the murder castle ready to go for the World's Fair.
Yeah. And just call it the Devil in the White City, man. You would.
I like it. All right. So I guess my number one, this game is near and dear to my heart. And how could you not? When you open up the rule book and the very first thing you see is a letter from the creators, and you have all of the phone numbers for the suicide prevention hotline, domestic violence resource hotline, the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill, alcohol and drug helpline, and emotional listening support line.
Wow, that is also on Mike's Tinder profile. Like for anybody after they've gone on a date with him.
All kinds of revelations tonight. It's great.
We're here to educate and inform.
Absolutely. This is a very, very dark game with some very dark theming and really some of the psychological things that can happen at the end of this game. You may want to talk to someone after you play it. This is maybe, I don't know if you guys have played this or not. I heard that the original version was even better than the mass marketed version. It is now out of print, and I don't even know if you can get this anymore. But a designer that I know also made this one by the name of Danny Lott, and it is Coma Ward.
Oh, I've heard of Coma Ward.
Yeah, Coma Ward. Yeah. So very similar kind of concept to Betrayal, House on the Hill. Very kind of similar thing where you're playing the game and something kicks off the phenomenon and the game will change midstream. You start out, this is for 2 to 6 players, but you start out as a group of players that wake up in a mental hospital, right? You're in there and you have amnesia. So you have no idea what's going on. And throughout the game, you are searching around the hospital, searching the different rooms and everything, and finding like clothing, finding food. You again have to manage your sanity and your psychology. And so you are revealing things about yourself as you are going through the game. Some of them are very, very dark, which is why they have the suicide hotline, because there are themes in there on suicide, on sexual abuse, on various mental illnesses. One of the really great strengths of this game is Danny is a phenomenal writer. And he wrote all of this. And the storyline is really, really good. It is very engaging. And so, yeah, it's a great game if you get a chance to play it. It is, again, it's a very, very dark theme. And as you find these things out about yourself, you may find out that you are not the person that you thought you were at the end of this game. And so it really, really changes when the phenomenon happens. There will be different things that you have to do to finish the game. They may completely change by the end of the game. And just a lot of fun to get out there to play. The original set had those pill bottles and actually had like different colored pills that went with it, which was really cool. It's Everything Epic ended up doing the mass market publication for this. They took a lot of that stuff out there that made the game really, really unique. And so there had been some talk about doing a Coma Ward like 2.0, renaming it and like redoing the whole game and doing some new things with it. I don't know where Danny's at on that, but we had talked about it probably 8 months, a year ago. We were really seriously talking about it. I don't know where it went, but hopefully we'll get to circle around back to it, because I think the engine for this game is really great. And I think that it you could do all kinds of things with it and not just be in a hospital, but be in all kinds of different places and really kind of do the same thing with all kinds of different scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely check that out. That sounds awesome.
Interesting.
Whoa.
I love it. I love it.
That sounds kind of deep. That's wicked.
It is super deep. Like, so like you have like these neurosis strips in the game. So as you're playing, like it'll move up or down depending on how like the setting is going and how your environment changes and stuff will change all of that. So like you can be nervous. So it will have different effects on your movement and stuff. You move on to anxious or petrified. And like, if you're petrified, every time you fail a focus check, reduce your terror by 1. So these all have different effects depending on how your mental stability is doing during the game, which I thought was a really, really cool, like unique spin.
Yeah, that's awesome. I always will respect and appreciate big swings. This sounds like a real big swing. I love the idea of this, man. That's cool.
Yeah, I think. What's that?
I said I'd play this.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I ended up picking it up, I think, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe at Origins. Everything Epic was like doing a blowout and getting rid of all their old stock as it was out of print. And so I ended up picking it up there for like dirt cheap. And so this is something really funny. As a game designer, I go to like half price books all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I always go and I look on the shelf and I'm waiting for the day that I walk in there and one of my games are on the shelf. And that's the day that I'm going to be like crushed that somebody sold one of my games.
That
and
means
like,
you made it, dude. That means you made it. Somebody bought that game from somewhere, whether it was you or somewhere else.
So I sent Danny a picture because I went into one of the local ones here in Cincinnati, and they happen to have a copy of Coma Ward there.
Oh, damn. Damn, that's awesome.
Sweet.
Okay.
I never find anything good. I always see like people with posting online, like, "Oh, look what I got from Half Price Books" or blah blah blah. And every time I go, there's just nothing.
Well, the problem is I find decent stuff at our half price books there, Bob, but they don't price it competitively. You could get it cheaper.
Yeah.
That it depends on the half price and like who is doing the intake that day. Because I found some good ones when I go down to Louisville to visit family down there. They got 2 half price books that are pretty easy, like not that far apart. Actually, you could, about 20 minutes between the two. And I've been to both in the same day many times, and you'll find great deals there. But then ours up here, man, they got people that they ain't pricing stuff right. They're not pricing it to sell. That's for damn sure. But
yeah, it sure seems that way sometimes.
All right, Mike, what you got for number one?
All right. Well, Bob, you stole my number one. I knew you'd put Downfall of Pompeii on your list. I should have known better.
That was your one?
Yeah, that was my number one. I knew that was going to happen, and so I had backups ready to go. I'm going to go with another game that I have not played. However, I believe that the phenomenon that this game is based on is responsible for more deaths than all of the games mentioned here combined. And I'm talking about Klondike Rush by Ryan Lockett. You see, the Klondike Gold Rush caused over 100,000 prospectors to try to make it from Alaska into the Canadian Klondike just for the idea of catching a little bit of gold. Problem is, 70% of them either died or turned back, which means 70,000 people in a 3-year span hiked up a mountain and either died trying or said, fuck it, I'm turning around. And that was after hauling at least 2,000 pounds worth of gear to the summit, which is what the Canadian Mounties were requiring to pass into the country's border at that time. I don't know if anything is as dark as close to 70,000 people dying in a 3-year span. Maybe, there might be some other cases. But having seen the trail that these people hiked, and the conditions that they were actually hiking in, these people must have been really, really desperate to try to hike up that mountain and get this gold. But in this game, yeah, you're actually trying to build mines and collect gold and have the most money at the end of the game. Problem was, most people that hiked up that trail didn't get anything, and only 1% of them actually struck gold. So Klondike Rush, therefore, is the darkest game on my list.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I've got
Mike,
Tim rendered speechless. Is that what it is here?
well, Mike, I hope tomorrow you've got an appointment scheduled with like a physical therapist because you have stretched
You're overstretched.
so far.
You're gonna be sore tomorrow.
You're,
That last one was a big stretch.
Yep. I mean, as I as it was, I really thought Mike was going to put Saw on one of his lists because that seems up his alley.
I mean, I've got it right behind me.
Yeah.
I didn't like that game. I thought about Imperial. You're literally killing off troops so you don't have to pay taxes on them. But I talk about that game all the time.
Yeah.
We can talk about honorable mentions.
Well, see, I got the Abyss here because that's like literally dark, and then your unconscious mind is kind of figuratively dark.
Yeah.
So.
So
Blood Rage, which is about the thirst for blood and trying to kill yourself to make it through Ragnarok and to Valhalla. But
I don't know that it's like I would have described it as it's about the thirst for blood. I mean, it is Vikings killing each other. But when you say thirst for blood, that implies a different thing. Yeah, exactly. But I guess we're picking nits here. I had Nightmare Productions written down as a possibility. That one, you're trying to make horror movies. You're casting a monster. You've got a script, and a location. I had the Stuff of Legend from Third World Studios, where you're like you're these misfit toys, basically trying to rescue, a kid that's been, kidnapped by, I forget the boogeyman.
Yeah.
I had one of my favorites, and I really wanted to put this on here, and I didn't because I guess I did Empire Age of Discovery, but I put Tammany Hall on there because like of the early, the 1860s New York, Boss Tweed, and you're manipulating the different ethnic groups to vote the way you need them to vote. That's fucking dark. Like that's real life, man. Super good. I had Saw written down. I had Gore Chosen written down, but we covered Gladiator games when we had Spartacus. I mentioned Mask of the Red Death, and then probably my favorite game that I didn't talk about was After Us, which is basically just takes place like 40 years from now, and apes ruled the world. It's like a deck building. It's a deck builder, engine building kind of game. Really good. Tainted Grail is another great one. But Vagrant Song with the hobos, right? The hobos on a ghost train. Really cool theme. Mike or Jeff, or not Mike, we've heard enough from you. Bob or Jeff, you got any honorable mentions, or Mike?
I haven't played it yet, but Pest, it's got a dark kind of theme to it with the plague and everything.
Sure does.
Yeah, I really want to play that game. I've got some cool bits for it, but other than that, you guys have pretty much mentioned a lot. Everything else that made my short list: the Gore Chosen, Evil High Priest.
Yeah, I thought you were going to have Evil High Priest on there.
Yeah, it was on the short list, but it didn't make it.
I thought you'd have it on there, but yeah. But a fun list. I mean, always a fun to talk about sort of these off the wall,
right.
Games. I love it when we have, especially like when anybody, you guys or the guests, bring games that I've never heard of or I've seen but never really knew what they were about, like Coma Ward. Like I've seen that box like 100 times, and I'm like, oh, that looks interesting, and I've never gotten past that point. But now that I've heard it described to me, like I want to freaking play that game. Like I want to play right now. Yeah, Jeff, you came, man, guns loaded and blazing, dude. There's some good picks.
I'm glad I went back to the wall and grabbed some of the ones that I wasn't sure I was going to bring up, because
Nice.
I had some stuff that was very generic, and I was like, you know what, like we gotta bring the big guns tonight, and
man.
Escape from Site 19 is the bazooka. Like
that
game is
a bazooka. Holy shit, that is a bazooka.
Oh man.
Do you think Matt still has those, like, or does he only have them at shows? Do I need to reach out to Matt?
No. Oh, hit him up. I'm sure that he would be more than happy to not have to ever carry one again.
Yeah, that's fair. All right.
I'm sure that he has a few still. I know that he had probably 2 of them left last Gen Con.
Okay.
And I'm sure he probably has a couple more. But
yeah, anything he doesn't have to load into that U-Haul, right, as he drives to the next show.
Man, with all the crazy mishaps with that U-Haul, like what was it? Not last year, but the year before, where it turned and rolled.
I was gonna say, yeah,
that was wild.
I was talking to him that Gen Con, and it was just like, how are you even here, man? Like, oh, what a nightmare! What a nightmare!
Was that the because this last one I was fine. That was the same Gen Con that I ended up dropping the shelves on my foot, and I was like out for like 8 months. I was like in a boot.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Golly.
Like and I still have issues. Like my foot still swells up. Like I never like thought that would be a thing, but I got a crushing injury, and apparently they take forever to heal, if they ever do.
If they do, yeah. Welcome to getting old. It's bullshit.
I know, ridiculous.
But man, Jeff, I appreciate you, man. I know I feel bad we made you wait so long, but guess what? Now we're not going to make you wait that long again. We're going to be bothering you again to come on. And you're obligated now because you said yes once. We don't leave you alone now. That's how it works.
Yeah, I believe the bottom of that email said in perpetuity. Right?
Yeah. It sure did. Signed in blood. You didn't realize it, but you signed in blood.
It's okay. I don't mind.
Nice.
Oh yeah, Pablo, play a game. I own that game. I meant to write it down.
Oh yeah,
great app.
Because she thought it was hilarious.
Great app and a super fun board game. Yeah, you could. Block by Block. I haven't played Block by Block, but
why didn't I didn't even think about Pandemic.
Yeah, no doubt, dude.
After like all the hate that game got after COVID-19. Not that game wasn't out long before COVID hit.
Seriously.
Like the fact that people got upset about it afterwards is like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like,
now
it's not like they had any idea.
I could get like if you have COVID and you're like, I don't feel like playing Pandemic right now.
Come on, bro, let's play Pandemic.
But you don't have to shit on it, right? That game really that game did a lot for the hobby, and it continues to do a lot for the hobby, Yeah. So like again, if this episode had a theme, it would be like, hey, everybody, relax your sphincters and just calm down. we're just having fun here.
So we talked about it a lot and never really even talked about it. But we mentioned the Profiler, and West has played it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like Killers, like on the face, really a kind of in your face kind of game. The Profiler is very kind of subterranean, but is actually psychologically much, much deeper than Killers, the card game, is. The Profiler is actually a social deduction game. So you play it like Werewolf or Blood on the Clock Tower in a large group of people. One person is the killer. He may have some henchmen. But like, as the townsfolk, you have 60 minutes to figure out who the killer is among you, arrest them, and determine what type of killer they are from 6 different profiles, right?
Right.
You might have a lust killer, You may have a comfort killer. You might have a power and control killer. So at nighttime, the FBI agent, the medical examiner, police, the forensic biologist get to look over all of the police reports, medical examiner reports, and forensic reports. They get to pull out evidence. So every day, all of the townsfolk now get to disseminate the evidence. Of course, your killer is trying to throw you off. The henchmen are trying to throw you off. But the cool thing is that the killer doesn't kill every night. They draw from a killer opportunity deck. They may kill, they may not kill, or they may have to kill during the day in front of everybody else. I have run games where you can see people start to sweat as they get that card and they realize that they have to kill somebody in front of everybody else. So they have to slip them a card denoting that they're dead. And so like the anxiety is unbelievable. And then when one of my favorite things about the game is we created a Discord channel, and it has the downloadable online editable forms. So if you buy the game, you can create your own police reports and stuff. You can make your own scenarios. And then in the second edition, we made dry erase cards. So you can create whatever evidence you want, and you can write it on there dry erase style. It's super cool.
That's a great idea.
Very dark theme because you could really get into it. And I mean, you're talking about, we've got a bunch of scenarios where there's, sexual assault, dismemberment. You're investigating these crime scenes. And I wrote all the content, and it is very, very descriptive. Just saying.
Hey, I mean, but come on, man. If you're going to do something like that, if you just do it half-assed, what's the point?
Oh yeah, you got to go all the way, baby. You're going to do it.
Just commit to the bit. I mean, Mike will tell you, Mike is good. Now the bits are never good, but Mike is really good at committing to the bit.
Bits are never good, but he'll commit to it.
Okay. I'm not sure what that says about me.
I think it's pretty clear. No. But I'm also the guy that when we had a guest that wanted to do like top 5 food games, and every one of my games was where people were the food. I'm not going to say it's cannibalism because sometimes it's like aliens eating people.
It was cannibalism.
Sometimes it's aliens eating people. You're not
that's fair.
I mean, I have a copy of Escape from Site 19 right here. Just saying. We could get you started.
Let's long pork is on the menu, boys. Let's go. Oh God. All right. Well, this has been awesome. Jeff, you did not disappoint, sir. I appreciate you coming on. I've talked to you at several shows. You are correct. This is long overdue. If you've ever got something, you want to talk about or whatever, you haven't heard from us in long enough, just ask, because you are a great guest. I appreciate your candor. I appreciate the stories you had to tell. Like we were talking off camera, we're talking on camera. You brought a baller list, like tons of stuff that I wrote down that I'm like adding to my trade list. Like, okay, I need to try to find this. When it's not like late at night, because I think Matt lives in Florida, so it's same time as me. I'm not going to message Matt this late and be like, hey man, I need this game. Tell me how I can get it. But I bet you I will tomorrow when it's not dark outside.
You'll have to hit me up and tell me his response when you ask for that.
I'll be like, hey, somebody recommended this game to me. How do I get a hold of it? I won't even throw you under the bus yet. I'll just see what he says.
Oh, he will know exactly who it is because I think I'm the only other person other than him that has sold a copy.
So this is there's Brandon. This is high praise from our resident troll Charlwood. So yeah, he is all right.
Oh, I like it.
And yeah, sorry, Trevor. we're always happy to see you though, man. And you can always catch us on the replay. But yeah, everybody check out the links that Mike shared to find any and everything by Jeff.
Podcast, man. That sounds super interesting.
Dude, I'm tuning into that Jack the Ripper one tomorrow while I'm at work. I'm just telling you right
Dude,
now.
So speaking of cannibals, my very first episode on the podcast was an interview with Willis Morgan. Willis is the guy that saw Dahmer at the Hollywood, Florida mall the day that Adam Walsh was abducted and killed. So I did an interview with him. That episode is incredible. So anyway, just saying.
Hey, listen, I can't wait. Lots of good stuff there. So if you're into any of that, right, even just like surface level, if you listen to shows like Last Podcast on the Left or something like that, which is a show that I love, I'm going to say tune into Jeff, check it out. And be informed, because that's the best weapon. Information.
Absolutely.
You guys got anything else before we sign off?
I don't think so. I mean, I guess we could say that we have started filming our top 50 of the year. So
good call there, Bob.
Stuff, so
yeah, our top 50 games, not of the year, our top 50 games of all time.
Our top 50 games, yeah, fair.
Is starting to come out early next month. You'll probably see us do our best and worst of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brandon, it's not specifically like not everyone is about Jack the Ripper,
right.
but
Just
the most recent one is Jack the Ripper. I don't want to set the wrong expectations.
It's not a trick taker. It's a game with a little bit of cards and kind of taking some tricks. It's not a trick taker.
It's a trick killer.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. I will say, I'll just shamelessly plug. You won't see me yet, but I'll tell you in January you will see me, and not these guys, but two of my other friends on Pop Culture Jeopardy on Amazon Prime. So
nice.
Other friends?
Yeah, I know. Well, I pay them.
Oh, okay. So that makes more sense.
Yeah. But that is coming. That will be happening. And anybody that even cares about sports, just pray for my mental health Friday night, because I will be in the stands at Notre Dame Stadium.
Pray for all of us have to drive around here with these yokels.
Oh, my God. South Bend is going to be insane.
It's going to be nuts.
Probably starting tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And it's going to be insane. I can't wait. I'm going to be on campus all day for an 8:00 game.
I should have rented out a room and be like, hey, I'll drive you to the game and you can stay here. $1,000.
Oh my God, dude.
Could have got it.
You 100% would have got it. You 100% would have got it. Yeah, you still could probably.
Anybody looking for a place to stay?
Just put it on Facebook.
I don't want to get randos though.
No, you're only getting randos. Oops, all randos.
Yeah, but Bob, $500 for a night, not out of question.
Yeah,
that's not even a joke. People are paying twice that.
Yeah,
and they have to do a 2-night minimum.
No, one night and you're gone. Go.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's even better, because most people have to pay $1,000 for 2 nights, and that's not just the hotels, but all the Airbnbs in town. It's out of control right now.
Wow.
But that's a testament to like the excitement level. So
yeah,
crazy people.
I'm right there on the forefront of it. I can't wait. I'll be in the stands cheering them on.
Yep.
So anyways, this has been awesome. Jeff, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate you.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Just please do me one favor and keep grinding, because you are fucking crushing it. So keep going, dude. Your hard work's paying off. It shows.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have never ever quit. Well, I quit twice, and it was terrible. One time it was negative 15 degrees out and 2 feet of snow in Vermont. That shit sucked. I quit, for real. I really did. But in normal circumstances, I don't quit.
That's fair. That's totally fair. All right, guys. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for watching. Tune into the regular show. We drop shows all, random days of the week, all kinds of stuff. And we will see you next Wednesday for our Christmas Eve show, which we don't know what's going to be yet. So for the Board Game Rundown, I've been Tim.
I was Bob.
Yes.
Mike.
Jeff.
Yeah, we did it. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.
We'll see you guys.
Good
next
job,
time.
Stonemeyer.
A 7.3 repeating. Heating.